and he loves how interactive Dragon Ball Super really is.
Yep, and Rohit here, hailing from Texas, Dallas specifically. He got the invite at the Vegas Regional playing androids, and here he is playing once again Android 21.
I'm telling you.
The beauty of the deck being that it ramps, it has the Bad Omen, and 17 and 18 it make for a phenomenal bomb to finish out the game. And the things he's most partial about in the game is that he plays for fun.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell today, but he's always wearing a smile. And you can tell, like, you know, he's got his tokens ready. And that's, like, one of the fun things playing in person, too. Like, you can actually give your opponent tokens, like, hey, hold these for me, please. I really want them. And the thing about him, too, is he doesn't run, like, as far as I know, he doesn't run the Frieza mill version of these lists. He runs a more pure version. And I'm really going to be interested to see what his end game is to finish it off.
Yeah, so, I mean, he said, you know, ramping looked like to be something he was interested in doing. So maybe both decks looking to go into those big bursty plays, right? I mean, both of them having the capability of ramping and playing those big threats.
Yeah.
But with Omen, you know, Android 21 definitely has more tools to be able to utilize the attack on the same turn by being able to play the, you know, some free cards.
Yeah.
More so than Android 16. Android 16 very much plays its bomb, and then that's pretty much it. So Bad Omen here definitely going to be able to slow down Jared in terms of being able to apply pressure.
For sure. And if you saw Jared very quickly putting Rohit to 4 to swing by the tokens, Rohit very happy to take that life and do the awakening as well. And I'm not seeing any, you know, Rohit hasn't really played anything too much yet. We normally kind of see the new expansion set cards like the Unison or the Android 16, but looks like both of them are just deciding to ramp one with the Android 16 blue-green card and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, so what do you think is the call? Like, what's the deciding factor between forcing the early awaken with the tokens and not forcing the early awaken with the tokens?
So, I mean, if you're playing a deck that has a lot of swings, then you're in a really good spot because you don't want to, or you just have so much ability to, you know, make your opponent use their negates and everything else. And so if you're trying to just have like 1 or 2 big swings, it's not as good for you. Because sure, Rohit did take a lot of life, but now look how big of an accordion is in his hand. Like he can start playing music with that thing. So
these players playing incredibly quickly. Like they clearly have no intention of going to time here. Jared ripping through his plays, getting down the Majin Buu, awakening, getting those draws. Very much shedding a quick tempo to this game.
Well, no, they're ramping up. Once they get to like turn 4 or 5, it's going to take like 5 minutes apiece.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those early turns are very, like you said, set up. Like they're both going to ramp. They're both going to get to those early turns out of the way. And then I think we're about to see a game that's going to be made and broken by haymakers. Who's going to drop the big bombs? Who's going to be able to answer? And we're going to see some big powerful cards. Oof.
Like a big hatch in that big energy.
Oof. That is a tough ramp. I mean, you know, Zeno Super Combo potential to be able to get that back. And if you are playing Android 16, then there's a good likelihood that that's what you're doing at some point in some way, shape, or form.
But yeah, and I've known Jared for like the last 6 months, and he's always been on this list, so he knows his plays 100%. He's been just a really big competitor with it.
And Majin Buu, honestly, probably one of the most hallmark blue cards that we have in such a long time. I mean, defined what a blue deck was doing for so long now. And, you know, maybe a little bit less now in the blue, now that Soul Striker has definitely monopolized what blue decks are trying to do these days. But for a long time now, Buu has been an extremely powerful unison that if your deck can use, then, like, you definitely lean on it a lot.
And I don't want this to sound like the wrong way, but, like, Soul Striker is the deck for people who don't play blue regularly. Like, they just like what he does. But, like, both these players have committed to both of these leaders and for a very long time. And look, these decks are really, really similar to what they're doing in a lot of ways. And you can tell also that these guys love these decks because it almost seems like both of them are max rarity. You see Jared has the winner stamped Android 20 or Android 16s. You see all the alt art Android 18s as well. Like it's just crazy just how much value is on these cards.
So it's going to be very interesting to see what the differences make, right? Like here, the big difference being Android 16 gets to play from energy. Android 21, it gets the utility of all the clones.
Yeah.
So it's really going to be interesting to see, you know, with decks that are so similar, which difference between the two is the one that's going to edge out.
For sure. And this Android 16 is one of my favorite new cards. It's an arrival for blue or green. It has revive. It has blocker. You can pop it to make your opponent's unison blue the thing. And if you have a blue and green energy cards in your drop pair, it doesn't have to be a blue-green. It could just be 1 blue and 1 green. It becomes a free combo as well. So it has a lot of utility and rewards kind of cool deck building. And it's just one of my favorite cards. Oh, and there's the hatch right back to Rohit.
One hatch charge, one hatch played. Here, Rohit deciding that this is probably the turn where he's going to see the most amount of pressure. I mean, makes sense. There's a bunch of tokens there. He's got some big Android 16s that he's facing down. So how about we're going to end this early and not let this get too crazy, and then we're going to go into our next turn. Oftentimes, this is a line that you actually see if they decide to go for the mill plan. So who knows?
Sure. And just, passing 5 energy up is just crazy. And the thing, too, is that you can see, like, there's a bunch of these Android 21s that start burning damage. And those are going to be pretty impactful pretty soon. Jared does have a healthy 5 life. And one of the things about Android 16 that he does have a lot of utility and weird ways to play his cards. He doesn't get any card draw anymore. He's awakened. He doesn't get the cycle, and that can be a huge thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a little advantage this game. And the big thing here is just going to be figuring out why, what did Rohit see on his turn 5 to make him want to hatch right here? Because he is a couple of turns away from being able to drop anything too scary. 4 energy definitely gets you the Android 21 plays. But now we are in a position where it's 4 life versus 5. So
what's the what card did you just play? The 4? Oh no, this is the other deck. Okay, yeah, because he played the Champion Pack 2020 Android 21. Yeah, that one. What's that one do again?
So the Android 21 Scholarly Gambit, which is the Championship 2021, is a blocker barrier, has an activate main. If a copy of this card isn't played in your battle area, choose 1 clone token in your opponent's battle area and remove it from the game, and it gets to be played. Auto, if you have 5 or more energy, place this card in its owner's drop. When your opponent plays a battle card with energy cost greater than the current energy, you get to get rid of it bottom deck.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's kind of like a preemptive counter.
Pretty much, yeah.
And when you're playing something like Android 16, where you arrival out a lot of your big boys before it's time, that can be a big thing, especially since you lose energy, because he played that 6-drop, but he just gets bounced a hand with the trumps. And I think the Android 21 can interact with that too, but it does still get its activate main as well.
Yep. I mean, I think the beauty here is that Jared actually has the ability to play on Rohit's turn, which gets around the bad omen. So the arrival lines here, and arrival's been powerful. We've seen it in blue-yellow. We've seen it now in this blue-green deck. Arrival, allowing you to basically play the game on your opponent's turn, makes it so incredibly powerful because it allows you to get around things like this. It allows you to get around tempo and anything that your opponent might be trying to play around by setting up certain lines of play that you typically would only be allowed to do in your own main phases.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and you can just see, they're legal plays, but Jared just is able to shuffle his energy around and be able to do that kind of stuff. It's just a lot of cycling and knowing how to get cards places kind of thing.
All right, and there goes Hatch out of the game. He goes, and unless Jared is going to get that Hatch back in hand, which he only runs the blue-green super combo, so I don't see that happening anytime soon. That's pretty much it. Now we're just going to see some clean old turns going back and forth.
It's been 8 whole minutes, but it has been a very developed game. It's great. We have both have ramped, so it's a little misleading there, but both these players have bulky boards. Having the Boo Unison out is just makes everything, a couple swings slower too. It's just crazy.
Just the fact here that we have 2 blue-green decks in the top tables when everyone was hailing, and blue-yellow is definitely still doing well. I mean, Icarus is definitely a top table stills. But the fact that blue-green is a multicolored deck that is putting on a good showing, actually. There are other Android 21 and Android 16 decks I've seen around. Absolutely great showing for this color pair.
I mean, I think, once again, if you have a good deck that's able to play Hatch, Hatch wins you the game sometimes. It is such a strong card. And both of them are technically offline, unless Jared is running that Zeno to bounce it back to hand. Is he?
No, he's running 4 Android 18s Bionic.
Okay. That's the thing, too, because technically you're milling a lot of cards from your life, or from your deck into your energy. And so it will be interesting to see if anyone can just finish it, because both of them just have bulky hands, or 2, I don't know what deck totals are right now.
Yeah, they're both at healthy lives to a point where the burn damage from Android 21, Bad Omen's not going to do anything.
But we do, I think the, the Android 17, or the Super 17 is also in Rohit's energy right now, right? And that's the one, you pay 6, 5? I can't remember how much you pay for him. That guy.
You pay a healthy 3 blue, blue, green, green.
Okay, so you have to pay 7 for it, but then you get to play 3 Android cards and it costs 5 or less, which, if there's not a Trunks counterplay to bounce and roll back to hand, can do 3 damage all by itself.
That is a burn 3, absolutely. Also, I definitely said Omen a couple of times. I meant Scheme. My bad, chat. it made it sound like I was saying he couldn't attack because of Omen, he couldn't attack because of Scheme. Let's just go with that one. I was saying that the whole time.
Yeah, and so once again, the first card you play every turn cannot swing due to the Scheme, which also just makes this a lot slower in a lot of ways too.
It means that like proactive plays here are definitely slowed down, but the benefit actually being that they can both get around it. They're both playing arrival strategies, which means both of them can actually make some cute boards before being able to go into their main phase.
Yeah, like I can't imagine walking this game halfway through and being like, okay, what's on Jared's side? Like what is that?
That Zamasu is hugely impactful because this is definitely going to be a game of advantage. And there is no way that green or blue is getting that card off the board now that it is there.
For sure, yeah. And that's the part of the reason, like, I really like Jared's list, and what he's done is because it can really turn into hand destruction. Android 16 has a lot of inherent hand destruction in a lot of ways, and Zamasu is just a free card to play in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so the benefit for Jared here is that his deck has a couple more hand destruction options, which means when we get into these grindy matchups, he actually probably has the upper hand. There's the Android 16 that when he attacks, you drop a card from hand. Now he's got the Zamasu on board, which is going to put a lot of pressure. And if not, he already has the attacks that they themselves will probably force combo out of Rohit's hand. So as far as the advantage games go, Jared's in a very nice position, especially considering that he has these revenge blockers just sitting there as well.
For sure. But you can notice that very quickly they only have like 4 or 5 cards in hand. And just a whole bunch of mess.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But the benefit of Android 16 can combo from drop once per turn, so it's a free 10k combo.
Yeah.
There's the block.
Yeah, and there is the Piccolo too. So that's once again gonna help mitigate the loss of advantage that Rohit gets.
Yeah, that Piccolo was huge when it first came out, and I love every time it makes a showing. It's such a good value card. If your opponent can't deal with it, you start running a game away with the game so much if you can activate his activate battle just a couple of times.
Yeah, jeez, I can't. Playing 4 memory or not energy for 1 card is just insane. Like it's so weird how long we've come from where. Like doing that is normally you play 2 energy across the way, and any big plays or plays that have to be when you have an X amount of energy or something like that.
Yeah, but here Rohit is going to have to start looking for solutions because he is sitting at a tight 2 life to Jared's 5. And while Jared does have a comparable hand, his energy is in second hand.
Yeah, and I mean we're seeing right now there's a Dimension Magic in hand, and there's also a Gohan as well.
So this is definitely a situation where it gets still it's tight, but one player definitely has advantage over another at the moment. And here we see the Android 21 coming out of the energy.
Oh, he's got 2.
Getting God Sealed. Goodbye. And outside of a D Magic, oh no, okay, you do get the restand or the swap. From the leader ability.
Yeah. I can just say, oh yeah, it's from the Android effect. And I'll probably.
I mean, considering 90% of the cards on the board right now.
But yeah, I think the big thing in Jared is that he was able to keep his up, and I think Rohit's just like, yeah, you got this. Let's go to game 2.
All right, so an incredibly swift game 1, finishing in 14 minutes, guys. This goes to show your deck. You can rip through your matchups incredibly quickly.
Yeah, and once again, both these guys have been I've never seen either of these guys play literally any other deck. Like they have committed to these archetypes and these plays. So I think the swiftness is really. And I think, if you didn't know your deck well, and if your opponent's just playing things fast and not having to think about doing things, it really takes you aback.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things where there's trade-off, right? You get a bunch of time and you have confidence.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you might be slipping into autopilot a little bit.
Yeah.
And with that, you have to be careful naturally because depending on what each opponent sideboards, it could be something interesting. So
yeah.
So at that front, it's like, okay. Do I make sure that I'm paying attention enough while I'm autopiloting that I can catch any weird plays my opponent's about to make?
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what adjustments. I mean, I doubt either player was ready to play this deck that they're playing against, right? Like, it's more or less the mirror match, right? In a lot of ways.
Yeah. And of course, there are some lines that players are thinking. Can Android go ahead and play the mill line? And while that is a possibility, that is not currently the case for Rohit here. The options looking like he can bump up on more Piccolos. He has another Android 17, 18. He'd like to go there. Hero Prospect isn't the worst. A lot of the Android 16s are going to be way bigger than the energy that Jared's at for the first few turns.
Yeah.
So not too bad there. Blue Impulse is an incredibly powerful card here. If Rohit can time this right, it can completely blow up the matchup.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree on that too.
Otherwise, if we're looking at what Jared could bring in, Godseal does an incredible amount of work in this matchup. I think Zamasu also does an incredible amount of work. Not so much for the hero prospect here. I think it doesn't do as much.
Neither needs to be traditionally defensive.
Yeah.
Like it's more of just making bigger bodies and getting them to stick.
Yeah, so I think while one's trying to be a little bit more proactive, I think the other has some phenomenal response cards that could make this matchup definitely go one way over another.
For sure. And like I think both of them have to hit their ramp, and I think the Android 16 is a little bit more consistent in doing that in general. But so we'll have to see if they get their pieces this game as well. Because it was really textbook the first match. It was, you know, turn 2 Android, and then after that they played Unison on 4 and just went from there.
Yep, I mean, both decks definitely did what they were trying to do. With just a couple of edges here won out by Jared by being able to play the Android 16s that cleared board. It's going to be a game of board control. Who can mitigate the board best and who can get a threat to stick.
Yeah. And who can play the hatch better or get it.
I mean, that too. I mean, yeah, I mean, hatch is nice to see. It's just more so in hand than when it's in your energy.
It looks like Rohit on the left added the big 8-drop 17, 18. I don't know if there's any in the main deck, but I definitely saw one in the side at least. So, oh, maybe just charged it. Never mind.
Yeah, I do believe he runs multiple. The additional one is in the side deck, yeah.
Right. And I think who went first? Did Rohit go first last game too?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like Jared's going to be the same aggressiveness, which once again this can be really good for Rohit just to get so many extra cards in hand to find the pieces he needs. And I mean, I wouldn't do that with Jared unless I knew what my opponent, if they brick or not or something like that. Because if you want to keep them on low resources, that helps out a lot.
Yeah, I do like the Kai here. There are a couple, not as much as Jared, but Rohit does run some arrival cards, so definitely want to disincentivize that.
Though the leader inherently gets rid of them with the effect to pop the token and put it back in hand too, so it's not going to be impactful. I think it was just a simple draw.
Hey, cycling is good too.
It sure is.
If he's looking for his ramp, maybe he's looking for that Android 16.
And so Rohit did his ramp as well. It's so bizarre too. The Android 16 can awaken just based on how much energy is on the field.
Yep.
And both are ramping, so it's going to be very, very easy.
Yeah, but Android 16 does have the unfortunate downside that he does not draw on his awakened side. So you kind of do want to stick to your awakened side for a little bit just to be able to fix your hand and clean it up a little bit.
Yeah. And it looks like we're doing the double.
Godseal?
Oh,
no, just straight up Android 18. Yeah, and I think that's going to be a huge game changer for this match.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
One player being able to get the ramp while the other isn't is incredibly powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, and counterplays are what make blue so good sometimes.
Yeah, it's just mostly on the prevention of autos, right? I think it's almost always the only color that can do that so consistently.
Yeah, yellow used to be, but now I think blue is just their counterplays are just so cost efficient. Even though they sometimes just go back to hand or they don't, you're still like a -1 in card advantage doing them. It's just really,
it's all about tempo, right? Like here, like Rohit has a huge advantage, and like he's in a position where like he charged a Godseal, so like there's a good chance that he has another one, which means like Jared is now slowed down by an entire turn. He's behind. I mean, he's going second, and he's behind on 2 energy because Rohit ramped. Rohit can ramp here again if he wants to. And then, I mean, I assume he has another Godseal. Yeah, there you go.
Double ramp. Yeah.
So, like, this is an incredibly overbearing situation now where Rohit's going to be going into his turn 6 afterwards versus Jared's turn 3. And Jared's not going to be ramping here.
No, and also Rohit, he does have the potential to have another counterplay in hand if he does want to try to do anything, really. And 4 is usually the turn you want to play your Unison. For Jared, you see it's in hand right now, but he can't play it. He doesn't have the energy for it. So, plays another Kai just for the cycle. There's some Moss in hand doing nothing, some androids, but swings in.
Yeah, you want the card draw, you want to fix your hand, but I'm not entirely sure what Jared does here. I think like I think at this point, maybe you just kind of forget about the ramp plan and you
Mhm.
start arrivaling things on your opponent's turn, force him to commit the counterplays on his turn, and then maybe you can start being proactive on your turn a little bit later on.
So he just pitched a super combo. You drew 2 more blue unisons.
Yep, super combo being fine because you can use your leader's activate battle to be able to proc it.
Sure, but it doesn't get the.
It doesn't get the ability.
Yeah,
No,
correct. Yeah.
It's just for the 10k combo because some of the Android 16s are 5ks as opposed to 10k. So having a 10k in drop means that you get that guaranteed 10k combo.
Yeah, and looks like and Jared can't swing those tokens in because of the android unison as well. So those are just sitting there now. So I think leaving Rohit at 5 is good because this Android 21 has to awaken with doing a being at 4 or less life, right?
Yep.
And unlike the Android 18, you can't self-awaken with popping tokens.
It's pretty good. This game got incredibly swinging, incredibly fast. This is
just with a single counterplay.
Yep. It's not over, but it is an incredibly advantageous game for Rohit at the moment.
Yeah. So he's playing one of the Arrival 16s and using the effect. And so also the fun thing is that it's just the first battle card that's played. So since Jared's played the first battle card this turn, the next card that Rohit plays you can play and you don't have to worry about it running out. Like for example, a 6-drop Roshi.
Oh my god, that Roshi is so incredibly good.
That is such a good card. And Android 21's an untapped draw one, right? For Awakening?
I believe so.
Yeah, so even though you're tapping out, you're really not afraid of it.
But just the value here, I mean, you know, you have a dual attacking crit. He gains you advantage, like, Roshi's definitely one of those cards that has made a comeback in appearance. I mean, like, it was released, and, like, some people talked about it, but then started seeing play when SS4 really started making a comeback, and now it's just incredible value if you're a deck that can get to 6.
Yeah, definitely, and, like, SS3 being the reboot when it was using the Galactic Buster as well, it was just a great 6 energy play, right? Because you can get up to 6 energy with the deck, and you untap 3 anyways, so doing that's really nice. It's just a lot of value. All right, so he got to 4, he got the Unison, and knows and lost you to stop. That's a joke. All right, you swing in with the Unison, and gets the block and pop the Android.
One of the things that Jared needed for this was definitely get that Unison out. It's one of the things that were absolutely mandatory in terms of like creating some form of tempo on his side. So it's the beginnings of what he's going to need to be able to potentially spin this game back to his side.
For sure. And what's the minus effect on that blue Unison that Rohit has, the Android or
the Android one? So for those of you who don't know, the card prevents you from being able to attack with tokens once it's on the board and it plus 1s.
Yeah.
However, it does actually have additional abilities. So the plus actually, I believe it boosts your leader. We have the technology right here. So it has an activate main where you can play it by removing a token on the board. It has a +2 when your mono blue leader gets 5k power for the turn, and then your opponent can't attack with clone tokens. And then finally, it has a -4. This card gets 11k power and double strike.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a closer in his own right, 25k.
Yeah, 25k double strike's not too terrible, especially if you're just going to go into another Unison on top of him.
If you're gonna get rid of him, hey, let's swing with double strike.
He's a +2 Unison too, so you just build those tokens really easily.
And he's activate battle timing. Hatchak here saying, okay, Rohit, how about you stop and let me get back to my turn.
Yeah, Rohit has over doubled the energy requirements for Hash to come down now. So
got the swing, D-Magic.
Yeah, I think he just untaps the 1, right? Yeah. He does. He didn't spark the 1. All right, and he plays the Android 13 or 16 popping an Android 16.
Yeah, and it's always dangerous playing these from energy when Godseal is live because it actually denies you
the extra energy.
The extra energy if it doesn't actually get there.
You're pretty behind already, but playing 2 dudes for 2 is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And they're both 5-drop green cards, so I think Zamasu coming down. One gets bounced
I mean,
back.
that's fine.
Do it again, baby.
Yeah, there's another one right there if you want to. Because Rohit's hand is starting to get small.
Yeah.
So Zamasu is definitely one of those cards I think that you do actually want to force it. Swinging with your Android and then try and bring out Zamasu again and just try and win the advantage game from that point. So while the beginning of the game definitely swung incredibly far for Rohit, we're now in a position now where the hand advantage game that Jared's playing can start swinging it back to his side.
And Jared still has the better unison out right now too. Well, making it big. All right.
All right, I guess we want the 4.
Okay. He's losing that marker.
Yeah, so definitely an opening here that Jared is seeing based on the fact that his opponent can't counterplay anymore. Get as much board as you can, get as much advantage as you can. Because there are some dangerous lines that Rohit might have, right? He's going into huge energy plays next turn. Android 18, 17 is live. That could wreck his hand. So he definitely wants to get as much of it out as he can to prepare for the upcoming turn.
Yeah, and the same thing is I think that 17, 18 does have deflect, right? But but on the other hand, Jared does have a unison that's pretty healthy right now too, and a bunch of blockers and obnoxious cards. So we'll see what happens there.
Yep. So this Android on swing gets a proc, rips a card out of the hand. So the hand destruction game that's being played here is actually incredibly good, and honestly, losing the unison's very solid as well.
Yeah, but you still have that Roshi out, and he still does things every time he swings.
Oh, absolutely. They can definitely still go either way, one way or another.
Yeah, and you do also have the Super 17 in energy as well, which can do some plays too. So swing a Roshi. Boo can pop it, right? Use the -1 ability if you want. No. Yeah, thought so. Oh, it has barrier. Okay.
These players play lightning fast.
Yeah, they are. And all of their cards look very similar, so I'm just doing my best. All right, blocks on purpose. Goes down to 3.
Yep, that's fine. You still...
I mean, because Roshi's a dual attack crit, right?
Yep, dual attack. So save it, and then you still have your neg in case he plays a battle card that's too scary.
All right.
Like that one. That's the one. For what it's worth, though, ramping your board here is actually pretty good for Jared. I mean, because he can just utilize the energy.
Oh, can we see what that card does real quick?
Yeah, the Android 17
I have
and 18.
never had that played on.
So basically, it board wipes when it comes in, ignoring barrier. And then every time it swings and has dual attack, you get to look at your opponent's hand and send 2 cards to their energy.
Okay.
So when this card's played, choose any number of your opponent's battle cards, ignore barrier, and place them in their owner's drop area. At the end of the turn, switch up to one of your blue energy to active mode. And then auto when this card attacks your opponent, reveals their hand. You choose up to 2 cards from it and place them in their energy. Which is like he wants to do that to get cards out of Jared's hand, but at the same time, he kind of doesn't want to do that because you don't actually want to ramp your opponent here.
Yeah, because both decks have gas if you give them enough energy. So.
But this card is extremely powerful. It's a double strike dual attacker, and it's a flex, so it's gonna get its ability off.
Yeah, for sure. You just gotta be careful about that.
That Majin Buu.
Yeah,
can just bottom deck whatever you're doing.
But we also haven't seen Rohit play a hatch this game too, so that could also be coming down for him as well.
True, and it hasn't been ramped this time. Oh, that is true also. There's the field card, and it was the first card played, so it couldn't swing on that point
that's
either
why.
as well.
Okay.
But either way, I don't even know if it would be a good swing just because you can boo bottom deck it. So, like either way, with or without, I don't even know if swing was the right call.
Yeah.
It's more so just being able to clear out the board.
Yeah, agreed. I think Rohit has to take the life damage too from the Android 20. Yeah, there we go.
All right, now we're looking at 3 life versus 4 life here. I always forget how good of an attacker Android 21 is also, because I only ever do her for the burn, but she's like a 25k body. Like, she does work.
Yeah, these are just great cards. Once you give them enough space and time to get, online, they really put a lot of effort.
That Android 17 makes it so scary to go to 3.
I hope he's gonna play his own. I'm just like, who's the Android 16 player now? Oh, and now it's also a 5-drop green, so we put Zamasu right on top of it.
Of course.
Why not?
Yep, and of course, the life from the Android 21 going to drop.
Oh, yeah.
And there, Rohit showing off the blue impulse.
All right, and using his own.
Comboing out. Whoo! Ripping out all the cards, saying a goodbye.
No, he does have to be careful though, because he can just do the Super 17 from energy to do things too. But if he, I mean, he does have more swings though with the token. So if he feels like he has enough cards in hand to finish the game, he should probably go for
I
it.
mean, you know, just 5K, puts him to 15. That's going to be 1 good damage. And then you do have the 7-cost Android right there. Is going to put in an immense amount of work in its own right. What's happening here?
He's comboing. Oh, he's awakening.
Is he not awakened yet?
He is not awakened yet. And then another boo. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, is there a reason for that?
Because it's dead in hand anyways? I don't know.
I guess, but like, I feel like if your opponent forces you to pitch or something like that, then like at least you have a dead card. Because like a 3 marker to 4 marker boo, I don't think makes a big difference. You're gonna get the block and the -1 marker anyways.
Yeah. And so I'm pretty sure Jared knows about the Super 17 energy. He's very wary about it. He also just comboed a counter. No, it wasn't.
All right, we are back, guys. I hope my typing was quick enough. So just to give you a quick recap, Rohit did end up playing the Super 17, which got out the Android 17 and ripped Jared down to 3 life. Swinging it back over to Jared's turn, he swung with his Zamasu, ripped the card out of hand, and then swung and tried to play out a couple of Android 16s on arrival. Now we are back into the gameplay, guys. Make sure to refresh if you have not done so, which means you probably can't hear me, but here we are.
Oh, and he's counterplaying the counterplay trunks. So negate the attacks, but he can still swing with whatever he wants without having to worry about it.
And that's the thing right now. Rohit's in a tough position where no matter how much he swings, Jared will always have that 10K combo regardless of hand size.
Yeah, and so it is very, very close in a lot of ways. Just being able to replay things from your energy and such will help a lot. And counterplaying it back to his hand, seeing how that feels, playing it again for another 2 energy.
Another arrival. And the beauty is now it's just a hand destruction game.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be ripping out cards out of hand, swing, rip card out of hand.
Oh my God. The life. Oh my God.
Rohit saying, absolutely not. I'm going to see another turn.
Oh my God. That's insane.
The clutchest life rip.
He is waiting right for the stream to come back online. He's like, wham,
God.
there it is. Oh, jeez. Jared has done the exact same thing to me many times. So
it must be good being good. Yeah. Oh my God. God sealing away the Android 21.
Oh, but he's not out of the woods yet.
Big board though.
Yeah, lots of blockers.
Lots of board right now. What a game.
That is.
Sorry for our silence, guys, but we are just kind of in awe at the moment at the lines that are going through right now. And it has become such a game of advantage now where both players barely have any hand. And it's just seeing who can mitigate the board here to the most pristine ability to be able to get to the end.
Yeah, and so now there's 2 blockers out, including the additional blocker from the Unison too. It needs to be a double attack. Dual attack, and he did the revive to get the blocker back online.
And for those of you who weren't sure exactly what happened, what made us pop off, Rohit had ripped out the SCR from his life, which forced Jared to stop attacking, effectively giving him a whole entire turn.
Jared's still doing super duper good. You can do the, your unison effect on. Looks like Rohit passed. Jared getting the W.